Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. Hey guys, I've told you at the beginning that I'm gonna do maybe every 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, a little segment called We Feel With You. That's why we got the empathy cap popping off, right? To enjoy this, you're gonna need empathy. You're gonna need to be able to care about what somebody else could possibly feel. If you don't want to do that, or you're not that kind of person, then you're probably a terminator. You don't need to be listening anyway. You're one of the cause of the problem. But empathy is something we all need, right? We're going to have a little harmony in here, right? So back to the point. We feel with you. And today I'm going to talk about Timothy Desert Storm Bradley. Timothy Bradley is a boxer. He fights in the 147-pound division, which is the welterweight division. All right, he started off at the 140-pound division, right? He's 33 with 2 losses, 1 draw, right? 33 years old. Why do I pick Timothy Bradley? Well, we feel with you, as you guys are going to see in the future, doesn't have to be about current events. It doesn't have to be about something that's hot in the news right now. You understand? It doesn't have to be, right? That's not what it's all about. It's about feeling with somebody we probably forgot about, right? Now, Timothy Bradley, I'm going to talk about him because I think I know that he's been through a lot emotionally, mentally, right? The guy seems to turn up to all his fights, pretty fit, top fit, really, right? Seems to get his work in real hard. He's always chiseled, right, when he gets to the fights. He doesn't possess that much punching power, but he has a lot of heart. Now, before I go further, I'm going to need to trust you guys on this, or you're going to need to trust me on this. I need you guys to watch the fight Timothy Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov. I said it slow so you know how to spell it, but just write pro, Timothy Bradley versus, and write pro, and you'll probably find it. Timothy Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov. Now, when you do that, I'm guaranteeing you won't have a dull moment, right? You will not have a dull moment. Let me give you some time to do that. Get back with me, right? So pause the video, go do that. Because if you do, the rest of this video will make a lot of sense to you, right? So, prior to that fight, Timothy Bradley had the fight of his life against Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, casual fan, whatever kind of fan you are, even if you're not into boxing at all, Manny Pacquiao's, the Floyd Mayweathers, the Mike Tysons, you don't have to be a boxing fan to know these guys. Manny Pacquiao is even a senator in his homeland of the Philippines, right? So you're going to probably, you've heard that name, you're familiar with that name. Well, anyway, Manny Pacquiao was the fighter of the decade from 2000 to 2010. So Timothy Bradley fighting Manny Pacquiao, I'm pretty sure this was a huge occasion for this man. Biggest occasion in his boxing life, right? So go back and watch that fight if you want to, but you don't really have to. The point is this. In that fight, Tim Bradley, he twisted his ankle bad. Kind of early in that fight. I'm going to go at round 6. I think it's round 4, but it doesn't matter. For a significant amount of that fight, this man was on a bad wheel. And I'm saying just so you could have a little empathy with that. But it turns out he had 2 bad wheels, meaning the guy can't really push off on any foot. Now, that would be an occasion or a problem, doesn't matter who you're fighting, but you're fighting the fighter of the decade. They don't give that title to anybody. You know what I mean? Walking down the street. You get that title because you've been handling your business. Now, that's another story. I don't believe he deserved it, but that's another story. He was the fighter of the decade. So you're fighting the fighter of the decade with 2 bad wheels, right? To the point where you had to be pushed out on a wheelchair to the press conference. Now, normally when you watch a fight and you don't really know any of the guys, you're not really tied into any of the guys, normally the human reaction is to go for the underdog. Tim Bradley was the underdog in this fight on 2 bad wheels, fighting the fighter of the decade. Now, the fight was competitive, right? Most people thought that Timothy Bradley lost that fight, right? 80% of the population thought he lost that fight. me, doesn't matter what I think. That's not even an issue. The point was the fight was competitive. I think we can all agree on that. Right? Now, for those that don't know, after this fight, Timothy Bradley won, I think it was a split decision. Right? Should have been the happiest day of his boxing life. I'm not gonna say it was his life because when somebody asks you what's the happiest day of your life, you got those things you better say, like the birth of your kid, when you married your wife, those things you better say or you're in trouble. So we're just gonna go with his boxing life. You just beat the fighter of the decade. What happens to Timothy Bradley? You guys probably won't even believe this. He received death threats, guys. Death threats. People were actually mad at this guy enough to send him death threats. Now, I'm on planet Earth. I've gotten a memo that good people are outnumbered by bad people. I've gotten that. I know that. But guys, death threats from a boxing match because, in your opinion, the wrong guy won, and there was no empathy there to at least say, well, damn, the dude was on two bad wheels. Pacquiao, you should have been able to take care of that man under those circumstances. But no, he gets death threats, right? So I just encourage you, I hope you watch the Ruslan Potvatnikov fight right now. Because of those death threats, because he went into a depression after this, by the way. Timothy Bradley went into depression because of that, all right? Because of all of those death threats. Him and his family were very depressed. It was a depressing time. So the fight after that was the Potvatnikov fight. And if you've just seen that, Timothy Bradley basically lost his mind. You did not go in there and fight the white, what is he called? The Siberian Rocky, I think is his nickname. This is the style of fight that Potvatnikov loves. That's the only way he fights. Right? Timothy Bradley can fight on the back foot, stick and move, those kind of things. He could have fought him that way. But because of all of this backlash, he goes in there and damn near gets killed, if you ask me. And like we always say, you're not in a rush to get concussed. Well, that man was concussed after that fight, and I mean major. Right? So I'm pretty sure his family told him, are you out of your mind? You can't listen to these people and go in there and get killed because they probably not going to even come to your funeral. So, to make a long story short, Timothy Bradley, I know it's been a year or two since all this has happened, but we feel with you. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide, and I'm up out of here.